Do you remember the internment camp?
Yes.
Can you talk about what you remember about it?
Well, I was going to school at that, school was already over here. And, um, and so we would pass. And of course, we were always warned not to stop or look. There was this, I think there's a building there yet on the bottom of that hill where the concentration camp was, and there was soldiers with guns all around it. So we were not supposed to look or nothing, just pass on our way. And so we would go to there, and we were afraid, of course, because we didn't understand war. I, like I say, we had never experienced anything like that. My brother was already a soldier.
Stock you.
Yeah.
And I guess he got the Purple Heart in
Yes.
Germany or in Europe.
Yeah, and the Normandy.
In Normandy.
Yeah, and his son went to France. They presented him with, I don't know what kind of a reward, but Michael, you remember Michael, I'm sure, and he got the I don't know what they called that, but he had to go over there for his dad's medal or whatever they were. But he did have the Purple Heart while my mother was still here. Well, my mother was still alive when he was in the service. Yeah.
You mentioned that you had 4 children. Did you want to say their names?
My first one is Rodney, and my second one is Kathleen, and my third one was Skeeter, but his name was Larry, and then my baby is Alfonso. Yeah, he lives in Washington.
The state.
Right? The state, yeah. And of course, Rodney lives in Farmington. So I just have her here because my son Larry passed away. You knew him, yeah.
Let's see. We talked a little bit about the church and stuff, but what do you remember about like San Isidro Day?
Well, San Isidro Day was a big feast, We would buy new clothes and all that, like what you do for Easter. But in those days, it was for San Isidro Day. And it was a very nice day too, like the women would bake cakes and have like a potluck thing, and then there was a big dance at the Romero Hall. The Romero Hall is already part of, there's San Isidro Church, and then there's this other, I don't know what you would call that building, and then the next one was the Chavez home, Ruby and Henry Chavez, and that was where all the big feast was,
And that was Luis Romero's house. That was the La Sala.
Yeah. La Sala? Yeah. Yeah, you've heard of it. Yeah. And now it's all different. And then the other side was my mother's other brother, Emiliano, is now the house that has that big wall around it. And then Eustachio's house, which was there by your father-in-law.
Yeah.
And that house has been there a long time. Yeah. Where your father-in-law lives, and my madrina Elvira in the front, and and there would be carnivals right there. Was not madrina's house in those days, and they would have a carnival come from, I think it was from Mexico, that we enjoyed games and all that there.
Can you give more detail about the games? Like, what did you play? What did you win?
Well, there was some rides, and then they would have you could win maybe a teddy bear or something little that you would throw darts, and that the little, those were treats for us. We didn't have ice cream every day or nothing like that. Those were great treats for us kids in those days.
So you used to go like to the Jose Romero store, right?
Yeah. He trusted us so much that he would leave me and Melinda taking care of the store, which we didn't know nothing about, and we would just probably just laughed all the time that we were there. Sometimes some people we were a little and we didn't know them or nothing, so we would hide. And but you know, in those days it was not like anybody stealing or anything. I don't know what it was, but you could have your house open day and night, and you never missed anything. That maybe because everybody was in the same financial, you know, and so yeah, he'd do that, and then he'd take us. He didn't have no children either, so he'd invite us to go here and there. Sometimes to go get to the Kellys and to the meat market, things like. So I guess he would have enjoyed some children of his own. But
What was the Kellys?
the Kellys was where the Sambusco is. You know that Sambusco?
Uh-huh.
We'd go there to the Sambusco and to get things that he needed and some food. He had a store, you know,
Yeah.
so we'd go with him. But it never, like I say, everything was like real free. You could come and go and not have any fear of any wanting to get in your house or anything like that.
So the store was kind of a gathering place.
Oh,
then.
the stuff, and everybody, my uncle, he had the only car, and he would have people coming to ask him for rides almost every morning. So when me and my mother would have to go somewhere, I'd have to go early in the morning to tell him if he could take us to town, because he might have had other commitments with somebody else. So we lived like that, you know, mostly family things.
So when you went uptown, where would you go uptown?
Oh, we'd go to the store. We visited Bell's store a lot, and Penny's, and Roybal's store where you bought groceries, and that's where my dad used to kind of exchange beans in those days for other things, you know, beans and coffee, things like that that they didn't have at other places.
Do you remember going by wagon or when?
Yeah, while I was growing up, that's all we went in wagons. We'd go visit my uncle Ramon, who lived in Cayamungue, and we'd go in our wagon.
Oh, Ramon Montoya.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we'd go in the wagon, and the minute we'd hit the pavement, you know how the horses click, click with it. And but there wasn't that many cars in those days, so we'd go to Uncle Ramon's in the wagon, and that was kind of far to go in a wagon.
Yeah.
And so we had wagon for everything, for fiestas, for my dad and mother never owned a car.
Did you ever go to Santo Domingo for fiestas?
No, not there. We didn't go. We would go to more to the Santa Fe Fiesta.
Oh, okay.
And we would go in the wagon, and my mother would take a supply of the groceries for 3 days, of course, her bread and all that, so we could eat there. My uncle Epifanio had a place in Santa Fe, and so we would go there and park the horses, and then from there enjoy the fiestas. 3 days of fiesta.
Yeah. So did you ever park the wagon at like the 5 points?
No. We would always leave it there. Our uncle Epifanio, who was my mother's sister's mother, the mother of Belle, you know, Belle Tafoya.
So whereabouts did he live?
She lived there on, you know where the home bakery is located to this day, or do you? A little bit below Guadalupe Church.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Guadalupe Church, and then there was a convent on the other side. And that was where we would, and then from there we'd walk to the park, which wasn't too far, you know.
Did you ever, like around the plaza, did you ever have like ice cream, like at Del Rio's?
Oh, gosh, in Del Rico, that
Del
was a favorite place. We'd get a big corn like that for 5 cents. We were looking forward to that. We would not come home without stopping there. And we'd get little, you know, things that were very, people from here would take stands and have hamburgers, things like that, which would lasted for many years after that because local people used to have the stands.
Where was Del Rico's? Del Rico, where was it?
It was where the, you know, that area by where the Hilton and those places are. Yeah, there was that building there for many years, but I don't know what happened that it became later a laundry place, Swan. And that's where my dad worked some too once. He was over the farming and all that, yeah.
There was an organization that Gilbert Montoya was talking about. Is that history of interest to get a different perspective on
Yeah.
La Raza?
Oh, Tesoro, Gilbert Tesoro. Oh, the Magma?
No, Magma. No,
No?
the radical group
Oh,
in
La
Northern
Raza.
That would be the Raza Unida, but it'd be it's archives.
After.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I wouldn't be. I'm not as interested in direct experience with that as I am just perspective and how that group was seen here during that time.
Do you remember the riot when at the convent when they had that shootout, the brown berets with
No.
in the late '60s, early '70s? Oh, okay.
No, I don't remember that.
There's a funny story about that Gilbert Muir and Art Montoya, they were in his backyard and they were drinking a beer and laying, I guess, on the chaise lounge. And they were looking at the hill and they saw a car speeding down and then they saw a police with a siren coming down. And they thought, what the heck? And they could hear them crossing the road and they just like flew across the road. And then all of a sudden, the shots started ringing out right over them.
Yeah, was that when the Tijerina?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, yeah,
The Tijerina area.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, because it happened here where the sisters lived
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the convent. Yeah. And it was such a sudden thing that nobody would have ever expected anything like that. Yeah. So I had not thought about that for quite a while. Yeah.
Do you remember Los Pastores?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
In La
like
Sala.
in La Sala. But like, who were some of the actors, the people that played the various roles in that? Do you remember?
Well, there was Antonio Gallegos.
And he
and
was
the-
the director, right?
Yes, and Delfino Hernandez,
Uh-huh.
and I know I was kind of young because we were kind of afraid, you know, and
Of
they
that
had
devil,
that
huh?
devil and all
Who
that.
was the devil?
And I think it was, oh my gosh, I don't remember that well, but
What-
it was, and then the pastores, I remember because my mother made a lot of the robes and the staff decorated with crepe paper of all colors, really pretty. And we were afraid of the Armitenio and the devil, of course.
Yeah, like, was the devil Arturo Hernandez?
Could have been, yeah. And with the red, you know, they were
Yeah.
all covered and everything, so you couldn't tell too much about. And we were so afraid that I would spend most of the time like hiding my head so that I couldn't see all that was going on. Yeah. But the pastores were really colorful.